Hello YouTube and welcome to the third video on the South London network for my route learning series for Train Simulator. So today we're going to be driving from East Croydon to London Victoria via an unusual route. This train would have come from Brighton, and sometimes on Sundays due to engineering works, trains are routed via Crystal Palace and Brixton instead of direct to London Victoria via Clapham Junction. So that's the route we're going to be taking today, non-stop. There's a lot of speed changes and a lot of gradients, so hopefully I'll be able to do this correctly. So the train for today is a Class 377/4. The Class 377 is the most numerous of all electric multiple units on the British rail network. They're also known as an Electrostar. They have a power output of 1,600 horsepower per 4-coach train and operate on the 750 volts DC third rail system. They have a maximum speed limit of 100 miles per hour. However, today we'll be lucky if we hit 60 miles per hour. So here we are in the cab of the Class 377, just to have a quick look around. Here we have the master key, the reversing handle, and the combined traction and brake controller. There are 4 steps of power on this train, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then there's an off position, and then we have a standard 3-step brake, step 1, step 2, step 3, which would be full service braking. I'll try not to use above step 2 braking today, and beyond that we have an emergency position marked by E, which we would never use in normal service. Down here we have the pedal for the driver's safety device. Up here we have the speed set control. Now if I alter this, you'll see the red needle on the outside of the speedometer moving, and when you've set this, this means that the train cannot exceed that speed. It's a bit like cruise control in a car. We then have the AWS reset button, the driver reminder appliance, the brake gauges to the right of the speedometer, and the AWS sunflower indicator. As we start from East Croydon, the speed limit is 30 miles per hour, quickly going up to 45. As we reach 30 miles per hour, I'll just temporarily shut off power. And we can accelerate to the 45 on the facing set of points just coming up now. However, the speed limit is just about to drop to 30 again, as we're just about to cross a junction. So as we reach about 35, once again I'll shut off power and apply light braking to bring us back down to 30. As we cross onto the main line here, the speed limit is quickly going up to 60 miles per hour. And we can accelerate to 60 just before, if you can see the track signs on the left on the main line there, we can now accelerate to 60 miles per hour. Now we're just passing them. Have an AWS warning with a single yellow, so we're going to brake to ensure that we can stop for the red signal just ahead. As we come to a stop at the red signal just at the end of Norwood Junction here, I can say from creating this scenario that unfortunately there is a bug in railworks, which means this signal is stuck at red. So once we have stopped, I'll request permission to pass the signal, and then we should be able to pass. As you can see, I've now requested permission to pass the signal, and the permission has been approved. The speed limit is just about to be 25 miles per hour as we're about to cross the points to the left. So once we reach 25, I'm going to shut off power and coast. Now we've changed onto this line. The speed limit is 30 miles per hour, and this bridge is the landmark for an 8-coach train to know that we can accelerate. As we cross the junction here to turn onto the line towards Crystal Palace, the speed limit will remain 30 miles per hour. We're now entering a 1 in 64 up gradient. So in a second we're going to need to use step 1 power to hold the speed to ensure that we don't lose too much speed. Now that we're joining the line towards Crystal Palace, the speed limit has gone up to 50 miles per hour and the gradient has levelled out a bit. Once we reach this AWS ramp here, we're now able to accelerate up towards the speed limit. As you've seen, we just passed the warning board for a speed reduction to 25 miles per hour. As we reach the end of this right-hand curve, I'm going to shut off power and apply braking to ensure that we can slow down in time. Now down to the 25 speed limit. I'm just letting the train continue to coast because just the other side of Crystal Palace the speed limit actually drops to 15 miles per hour. As we're now entering Crystal Palace Tunnel, the speed limit goes up to 50 miles per hour, and we can accelerate to that on the AWS ramp inside the tunnel. for the next speed limit, which is a reduction to 35 miles per hour. I'm going to apply step 1 braking now, and we should slow down in about the right amount of time. We're actually going to start going downhill now at 1 in 75, so I'm going to have to use the brakes for speed control to try and ensure that we don't break the 35 speed limit. Although we've just gone past a 50 mile per hour speed board, the speed limit, as you've just seen, there's a warning for a drop to 20 miles per hour, so there's no point in accelerating because we have to slow down. So I've applied step 1 braking to reduce our speed so that we can slow down in time for the 20. We do still need to keep using the brakes for speed control as we're still going downhill fairly steeply. As you can see, we've just passed a 30 mile per hour speed board. However, because we're turning off this line and the speed limit over the junction is 20 miles per hour, there's no point in accelerating because we've got to slow straight back down again. As we go around this sharp curve to the right, around halfway along, there's a sudden steep drop and a downward gradient of 1 in 42. So again, we're going to need to use the brakes to control the speed. Just at the other end of the platform here, the speed limit drops to 15 miles per hour as we turn to the left. So I'm just going to apply minimal braking at the very end of the platform to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. Now we'll allow the train to coast until I'm able to accelerate further. As you can see, the speed limit has just gone up to 45 miles per hour. We'll be able to accelerate to that as we enter the next right-hand curve just coming up that you can see. As we now accelerate towards 45 miles per hour, as we reach 45 I'm going to shut off power. The next speed restriction, which will be coming up shortly, is 20 miles per hour. As we reach the board for the 20 limit, I've now applied brakes to step 2 to ensure that we slow down in time for when the limit starts. Once again we're going downhill, so once again I'm using the brakes for speed control. As we travel through Herne Hill, although the speed limit has actually increased, we're going to stay at 20 miles per hour, as we need to be at 20 at the other end of the station. As you can see, we're now passing the next speed board, which is for a limit of 60 miles per hour. We can accelerate just up here. You can see 2 brown walls just on the right there. Once we reach the second wall, we're able to accelerate up to the 60 mile per hour speed limit. We now have a warning for the next speed limit, which is 45 miles per hour, so I'm just shutting off power and applying step 1 braking to ensure that we slow down in time. We're now going through Brixton. To our left now is the line from London Victoria to London Bridge, and we're on the southeastern lines on the right. Just applied a tiny bit of braking there, as our speedometer needle appeared to be just creeping just above 45. We're now entering the steepest climb on the route. At points this climb will be as steep as 1 in 38. As we have a double yellow signal here, I can now say that we'll have to stop at a red at London Victoria unless the signal clears by then. As we round this curve to the right, we'll shortly be crossing the River Thames. Just at the other end of this bridge, the speed limit drops to 40 miles per hour, so I'll let the train coast down to 40. As you can see, we now have a single yellow signal. Normally I would say that at the 40 speed board we would have the brakes on to slow down for the next speed limit, which is 20. However, in this case, because we've got a red signal just ahead, I'm braking slightly earlier. As we come down towards Victoria, we're descending on a steep gradient of 1 in 64, so the brakes will be slightly less effective than usual. As you can see, we now have a yellow signal. The signal has cleared, and we're cleared into platform 6, which is actually on the southeastern side at London Victoria. Southern trains would very rarely use these platforms, and we're only using them today because of the divert and line closures. There's a speed drop to 15 miles per hour coming into London Victoria on the southeastern side, so I'm not going to accelerate above that. I'm going to allow the train to coast at 15 miles per hour. arriving into London Victoria, do try not to hit the buffers. It's a habit I have of doing sometimes. Trying to stop as close to the buffers as I can. I don't realise just how close I actually am. Here we are, arrival at London Victoria. I hope that you've enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.